Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the One Bitcoin Show. Today is April the 2nd. 2019. Strong hand, offended by selling. Value your wealth in Bitcoin. Unconfiscatable. 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. Remember that, value your wealth in Bitcoin too, people. That's going to come back later in the show. Be a unique beast. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Okay, everyone, check out the links below. Follow me on Twitter at TechBalt, TechBalt. I'm going to be on UK Bitcoin Masters Show on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 6 p.m. in London. Follow him. I'll give you another update on that hopefully tomorrow, but that'll be on Thursday. I'll still do my show on Thursday also. All right, so we had an interesting day yesterday, didn't we? Also, check out disruptmeister.com to see all my old videos, including Friday and Saturday shows, which rocked. Sportsmeister.com, all my podcasts. Yeah, podcast form now. So yeah, I hope everyone had a strong hand yesterday, but you got to have a strong hand when the fiat price goes up, just like you got to have a strong hand when the fiat price goes down. You can't let it bug you. But there are some things we can learn from what happened yesterday. It was about 24 hours ago at this time that Bitcoin, it basically went up $800, $900, $1,000 for all you fiat freaks out there in a very short period of time. And I made sure to do this show a little bit later than I did it yesterday, just in case if the same thing happened again. Now, if the same thing happened again, and it did not happen again, it would be a tremendous story. Obviously, it would be the biggest story of the last 2 years, probably. But that didn't happen. So we'll discuss what happened yesterday. But first of all, the great VJ, who was on my show on This Week in Bitcoin, I think last week or the week before, in a March 7th tweet, he said something very interesting. A lot of people are agonizing about whether the bear market is about to end or not. The signal the bear market has unequivocally ended is when our prodigal son, Trab, begins tweeting again. Now, some of you might be familiar with Parabolic Trab. He was a guy when Bitcoin was going up in terms of fiat. He was saying Bitcoin was good. He was making huge predictions. His Twitter feed was so popular. Everybody was retweeting him. I probably even retweeted him. I'm a happy guy, but this guy was a bull and a half. Well, when the going got tough, Parabolic Trab, the last time he tweeted was in September, until yesterday. He made his comeback yesterday. So while some strong-handers, were around every single solitary day since during this fiat bear market, Trav wasn't. That's his business. He did come back yesterday, which is hilarious because, you can see a lot of people were very happy. He was so happy he made his comeback, and the great VJ actually predicted it. So maybe for all you fiat freaks, it's over. Maybe that's the sign right there. I don't know if it's over or not. It could all go down again. But I'm not going to lie. It was a happy day. It was a happy day. It was, when you see Trav back, the pumpers are back in town. So pound that like button, everybody. Now, someone just sent some bucks in the super chat. Before I move, let's see who this guy said. Taval Dakres sent $5 Canadian. Thank you for your service, sir. You're a heck dedicated. He said a different word. I'm a fiat freak, but will eventually change. Hey, thank you very much to Tavel. And you might change after you listen to the rest of the show. But thank you for the support. Hey, and if you're here, you're not that much of a fiat freak. You know that 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin, and to value your wealth in Bitcoin. Now, but you like getting your Canadian dollars too. You got to pay the bills, I guess. Start saving. WhalePanda has this, and this is for you. This one's for you, Taval. This what the WhalePanda says. He says, and this is all about valuing your wealth in Bitcoin. And there's a chart attached to this tweet. It's linked to below. And by the way, Trab is linked to below too, if you don't know who he is. Bitcoin, the king. Only thing that really matters for alts is the Bitcoin price. Anyone using the US dollar price for alts is either clueless or desperate to see something positive in their bad trades. Very good point. That last point, yeah, there are people that are desperate to see something positive in their bad trades. Oh, look, my Tron went up so much. Not in terms of Bitcoin. Now after I'm going to say this, WhalePanda, he posted this quite a few hours ago. He's in Europe. So after he posted this, some altcoin, when he posted this, Bitcoin was beating everything. But some altcoins did start to gain in terms of Bitcoin too. Not everything went up in terms of fiat yesterday. Everything did. But in terms of Bitcoin, like Ripple lost money, lost its value. Now, again, altcoin gamblers, some of them had some Bitcoin yesterday, clearly, and they wanted to come back to the table after their Bitcoin went back up in value. Some of them went back to altcoin gambling immediately and used their Bitcoin to buy some altcoins. And thus, over time, in the last 12 hours, 18 hours or so, some of the altcoins started to do quite well. Bcash and Litecoin in particular started to gain value in terms of Bitcoin. I noticed. And some others were close, and then some still lost value in terms of Bitcoin. Now, I don't know why those specific two, why it happened, but if you can interpret it in a very interesting way, and this is a long shot interpretation, but who knows? Both Litecoin and Bcash are going to have halvings before Bitcoin does. Well, and if they're going up in value, in terms of Bitcoin, it's their business. I have no problem with it. I think it's interesting, since they have halvings, that they will wake people up to the fact that Bitcoin is having a halving. And maybe some smart guy out there, some smart guy that's really risky, because you shouldn't be buying altcoins, but he might figure like, these ones are having halvings also. They're gonna be worth more in a few years. I'll gamble on them too. I don't recommend doing that. And what I just said was a very long shot theory. But what is fact is that those two did just go up a lot, and that those two actually will have halvings before Bitcoin does, and could wake a lot of people up to it. Another very interesting thing is that, well, okay, we're going to get to it in a second, but obviously, I think by now, a few of you know by the title of this that probably the main reason that Bitcoin pumped was because there was a huge purchase of Bitcoin, and on some reputable exchanges. And on those reputable exchanges, they also sell Litecoin and Bcash. And I do wonder if the entity that purchased all that Bitcoin diversified for the sake of diversification and came back and bought some Litecoin and Bcash. That is also a very long shot theory there. And again, I don't care if Litecoin and Bcash pump, that's great. That's great. I don't really care. That's not the point of the show. The point of the show is to talk about why Bitcoin pumped, but I brought them up anyway because they have halvings. Pound that like button. And obviously, I'm all about the 2020 Bitcoin halving. If you've been watching this show since like 2016, you know that. Strong hands, dude. That's what the shirt says. And this is the white version of that shirt. Usually you see a black colored version of this shirt. Do you prefer the black or the white? Leave a comment below. Moving on. So this is a tweet. The name of this guy, his name is 69 Corvette 420. A man who clearly values his wealth in women, cars, and drugs. And this is a real tweet. So his name gives away his thought pattern here. He's clearly an 80%er. This is what he said. One buyer bumped the price of Bitcoin, and smaller cryptos followed suit, most likely due to computer trading. This is why I'm not invested in cryptos. This is why you're not invested in cryptos. Yeah, a very nice excuse, dude. Enjoy your your 420 69 Corvette. Enjoy that stuff. Yeah. Oh, I'm not. If one person can change the price and then computer trading, I don't want a piece of this. I don't want a piece of this at all. I don't care about the basics behind Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, store of value, unconfiscatable, uncensorable. No. If one, what happened yesterday, that's why I'm not in cryptos. I'm so smart. I didn't benefit at all from yesterday. I have no cryptos. What a guy. 69 Corvette 420. That is America, baby. That is America. That's what you're taught. You get on drugs, buy some cars, and try to impress some women who are not going to be impressed by that stuff. Okay. Or some will, but you'll get. Okay. I just thought that was the ultimate 80%er tweet on such a day. A person tweets something like that. Unbelievable. Some people will never learn. Never learn. All right. And again, so how big is the over-the-counter market? How big is the over-the-counter market for Bitcoin? And what proof that it even exists? I mean, the people that have tried to talk to me about the over-the-counter Bitcoin market, who've tried to say that they've got a lot of Bitcoin to sell or they want to buy a lot of Bitcoin, there have been some sketchy dudes that have contacted me. And I've never seen a trade get set up through all these dudes that contact me saying they want to sell or they want to buy, they want to this. And they're usually talking like 400, 500 Bitcoin. I have 300 Bitcoin. I don't even know. Okay. So what happened yesterday is that some entity out there at nighttime on the East Coast, and it wasn't yet morning in London. So it was a pretty dead time in terms of the English speaking Bitcoin world, which dominates the financial side of it, I believe now, the United States especially. Someone tried to, at 3 different exchanges, buy about 7,000 Bitcoin apiece. So they tried to buy about 21,000 Bitcoin. Now when I heard that number, 21,000, and there's a Reuters story. I'm going to quote from it in a second. They say 20,000, but it probably was 21,000. I mean, that is 0.1% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be created. Last night, someone bought that much Bitcoin, okay? It was coordinated over 3 reputable exchanges that they're not part of that 95% fake volume one either, okay? So this was very planned, and that's close to $100 million the person had, okay? So not many people, Reuters covered this story, and I guess some people are ignoring this because it was a mainstream media source. And again, I'm taking their word for it that they have proof. I mean, they went into detail that it was 3 different exchanges, about 7,000 Bitcoin apiece. All right, so let's say this really happened. Let's say this happened. Now, and obviously, if 0.1% of all Bitcoin is all of a sudden gobbled up, and so this entity did not feel they could buy this on the over-the-counter market, okay? They did not think that there were 20,000 Bitcoin available on the over-the-counter market. Or maybe it was just too big of a pain in the butt to do because there's so many different people claiming they can sell you Bitcoin over the counter, okay? So this person just figured, I'm done with this. I am doing it through reputable exchanges. I am willing to pump the price up to $5,000, okay? I'm willing to go whatever it takes because I want to corner 0.1% of all the Bitcoin ever created. Now, who the heck has that much money anyway? Who has $100 million? You got to wonder that too. I mean, I'm saying entity. How about if it's a state entity? I don't know. I don't exactly know what the heck was behind all this. But you can see everyone always says, well, if somebody wanted that much, they would do over the counter. Well, that didn't happen. That did not happen. Hang on. Something else I got to do here. Okay. So, I mean, this is, and some people say, well, it was an April Fool's joke that triggered the market. No, it was not an April Fool's joke that triggered the market. It was this huge purchase. So I'm going to read you a quote. But before I read you the quote, there are wealthy entities on this planet, all sorts of wealthy entities, corporations, countries, and then there are individuals that can spend $100 million. What we probably saw yesterday was what happens when one of those entities tries this. Okay, they're tied. That does not go OTC. What is going to happen one day, and it is going to happen one day, when multiple parties in the period of about a month or a week or 2 months, you pick your time period, when multiple parties try to do something similar, try to get 0.1% of all the Bitcoin ever created. How about if 10 entities try it in a 2-month period or in a month period? That's 1% of all the Bitcoin bought, all that will ever be created, bought in a 1-month period. What will happen to the price of Bitcoin when that happens? What happened to the price of Bitcoin yesterday when it was just 0.1%, when it was just one entity trying to do that? Okay. I don't know when this is going to happen. I didn't know when that was going to happen. I knew one day somebody on an exchange would, they'd be tired of OTC and would try to do this, or maybe it would be done on OTC. I don't know. I knew there'd be huge purchases one day. I know one day countries are going to try to do it. I thought they would try to do it slowly. What's going to happen when what happened yesterday happens 10 times in a month? I mean, you make your own conclusion, and you tell me if you should be holding fiat or you should be holding Bitcoin, because you don't know when that's going to happen. No chart told you that somebody somewhere was going to try to buy 0.1% of all Bitcoin on April Fool's night. Okay, no chart, not even the magical bot of doom can predict that, right, guys? Speaking of April Fool's stuff. All right, so let me read you this. Today's gain was this is from the Reuters article. Today's gain was probably triggered by an order worth about $100 million spread across US-based exchanges CoinBase and Kraken and Luxembourg's Bitstamp. And by the way, during the buying, Bitstamp and Bitfinex, the prices were almost the same. Okay, that was very interesting also. That the buying was so tense on Bitstamp that it pumped up the price to Bitfinex level. Said Oliver Van Lands, okay, whoever the guy is, chief executive of cryptocurrency firms BCB Group. There has been a single order that has been algorithmically managed across these 3 venues of around 20,000 Bitcoin, he said. If you look at the volumes on each of those 3 exchanges, there were in concert synchronized units of volumes around 7,000 Bitcoin in an hour. Okay. So again, guys, there are going to be days where it pumps like $700. Be calm. Yesterday was one of those days. Be calm. There's a backstory to it, though, that because of what we found out through this Reuters thing, and it's a learning experience. It's something that's just strengthening your hands, because perhaps in the future this is going to happen. It's going to 10x. What just happened is going to 10x happen, and in terms of people trying to get that much Bitcoin in a very small time period, a relatively small time period. A month is relatively small when we're talking about 4-year halving periods. Okay, whether it be 2 months, 3 months, that this is repeated in 10 times, who knows? Okay, so yeah, no chart. Oh, and again, this is something I wrote to someone. I'm just going to read you what a reaction I sent this. Yesterday's 20,000 Bitcoin purchase that spiked the market made me think about the over-the-counter market. Is the Bitcoin over-the-counter market as robust as some make it out to be? I have seen little proof that it even exists. And then we see what happened yesterday. If there really is this legendary Bitcoin over-the-counter market, then why did this entity choose to go the exchange route? Is it now difficult to purchase 20,000 Bitcoin via OTC? And I would say yes, it must be. It must be difficult or a complete pain to do 20,000, to buy 20,000 Bitcoin on this legendary over-the-counter market that people talk so much about. Just like people used to talk so much about how all those Asian exchanges had such a high volume, and then it was proven to be false. And I hope the dudes who investigated the 95% fake volume on exchanges get to the bottom of what's going on the over-the-counter market, because it would be very interesting to hear that perhaps this over-the-counter market isn't what it's cracked up to be, and that if people really want a lot of Bitcoin, they're going to have to do it on the exchanges for all of us to see, so that it'll pump it. We'll get a better feel of how much Bitcoin is really circulating out there, which is good for the price discovery. All right, so yeah, I talked about that. Okay, and yeah, the charts can't predict when someone just snaps and is like, I got to get into Bitcoin now. I got to get into Bitcoin now. Now it is possible. Hey, for all you chart addicts out there, it is possible that this entity saw the charts converging, and because some people have drawn a picture of the charts, and it looks like the two lines were coming together, and maybe this was the time that Bitcoin was about to go up in price. So this person freaked out and said, I better get my 20,000 Bitcoin, 21,000 Bitcoin probably before the market booms or something. I mean, that's a possibility too. That is a possibility, but it's not like the charts predicted it. It might have influenced. It could have influenced someone. If someone was that much of a chart addict, they said, I believe the chart so much, I got to buy right now. So that's their personal business. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so yeah, I mentioned that there was a nighttime pump. There was not a nighttime pump. Not a nighttime pump tonight, it looks like. Which is this again, if the same thing happened again tonight, I mean, that would be absolutely amazing. I don't think if the person out there or the entity out there wants to buy more, it would not be in their best interest to do it 2 nights in a row. They should definitely wait. I would think. Anyway, so I was contacted. Well, first we'll pound that like button again. I was contacted by a person who's in motion, obviously, that I met at an event a while back, actually. And he's got a poll out there about full disclosure of speakers and people in the space, so that people get a better understanding of the biases of some people. So sometimes you'll go to an event and you'll hear that a person is he's part of a college or a university, and in fact he's being paid by an altcoin or something. So in certain fields, there is disclosure at events. People list all the companies they work for, what they're invested in. And I am not suggesting that every conference do this. I think it would be interesting if there was a conference, like it called itself the Full Disclosure Conference, and said everyone here is going to list everything they're involved in, and you can come to our conference. If the crypto industry, the Bitcoin industry, wants to adopt this as best practice, that's great. I think it should be voluntary. I mean, you can't force this on anyone, but here's what the poll says, and you can participate in it. Should Blockstream researchers lead Bitcoin and crypto to make more transparent public discourse by providing conflict of interest disclosures in their presentations? All right, so that would lead by example there. This guy thinks Blockstream is very important, so they should be the first to do this in their presentations. List all their conflicts of interest, who they're associated with, and then many others will follow. We shall see. Again, when you go to these events, I mean, there are people that are just straight up, ICO pumpers. They're not even hiding their biases again. But some people are fooled by it again, and some people. I think some people don't want their dreams to be shattered. They don't want to hear that the person that's promising them the next Bitcoin and who says they've gotten so rich because they know so much about crypto isn't what they say they are, and is just employed by some ICO or some altcoin. Some people don't want to give up. Some people are such 80%ers. They want the BitConnect dream to be true. I'll leave it at that. Okay. Moving on, or finally, CoinDesk article. They say 255 million. Coinbase confirms extent of crypto insurance coverage. And so, yeah, they have $255 million worth of insurance, I think, from Lloyd's of London on their holdings at Coinbase. And that they announced it. And they announced the number. And again, this is not to say that you should keep your coins at a third party, but that they did this, it does set a good, there are traditional investors that like to hear this type of thing. Traditional investors that are never going to control their own private key, and they gain respect for the industry when they hear a player like Coinbase is very well insured by a respectable insurer. So, I mean, weak hands are going to do what weak hands are going to do. Then they're gonna let a third party be their Bitcoin bank. They're not going to learn how to. They're not going to put it on their Trezor like we all do. But they're more of them than us. They're more traditional type of investors than the people who actually want to be their own bank. So I consider it a positive that Coinbase has made this announcement, and it will make some traditional people much more comfortable and will expand the ecosystem. And here we go. $5 from the legendary Cyrixna. Please do vote in the disclosure poll and retweet so your followers can too. Adam, the show rocks. Well, thank you. But obviously that is the dude who made the poll, guys. So the poll is linked to below. Do retweet it. This guy is very much into this disclosure thing, and I mean, he's right. There's a lot of shadiness out there. There is a lot of shadiness, and he's being proactive. That's the thing about the space. I mean, if you're proactive enough, you can influence everyone to go in one direction, or a large group of people to go in direction and make a difference in the space. And if people follow disclosures like the health care industry, it would gain some more respect from traditional investors. I'll tell you that. And it would make events and online presentations and various personalities a lot less shady. All right. And it would bring things into the big leagues a bit, because sometimes it can kind of be bush league around here. But I mean, we're so early on. We're so early on here. So thank you very much for the support. Thank you for that super chat. And thanks for being proactive about your poll and everything. I like polls. I got to do some more on TechBalt, TechBalt. And all of you can see that I retweeted him. Pound that like button. Bang that bell button. Check out all the links below. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. I'll say hi to everyone in the chat. Bye-bye.